So we've hit the lull in the OHL preseason where we don't have any preseason games now until next Tuesday. And a lot of the NHL prospects now off to NHL rookie camps, getting ready for training camp at that level. So we kind of have to now wait and see who returns to their junior teams and how these lineups are going to take shape. And it is also interesting, too, to look back on some of the stats from the first half of the preseason. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. But first, wanted to talk about a couple of news items. Starting off with a tough situation for Oshawa Generals forward Beckett Sennecke. It was revealed late last week by the Anaheim Ducks that he has suffered a fractured foot from off-season training, and that's going to keep him out of the lineup for 6 to 8 weeks. And for Sennecke, of course, he was selected by the Anaheim Ducks third overall to the surprise of many. And how can we forget his reaction when he had his name called in Las Vegas by the Ducks? He was just as surprised as everyone else that he was selected third overall. And there was that excitement around Sennecke going off to the Anaheim Ducks camp and being able to maybe stick around with the team into the regular season. But now with this injury, he's going to miss the rookie tournament, which begins in a couple of days for the Anaheim Ducks, and then the main camp. So with this injury, it's really unlikely that he'll be in the lineup for the Anaheim Ducks when they open the regular season. So then the question comes, when will he return to the Oshawa Generals then? Because I have to assume with this injury, the Anaheim Ducks are going to be very cautious. They're going to take their time with Beckett Sennecke. They're not going to want to rush him back into playing time. And that's what happens when players are drafted to the NHL. It's then those teams then call the shots as to how a player is going to do with their rehab and with their health before they can then play junior hockey again. We kind of saw that with Callum Ritchie as well last season, another Oshawa General who suffered an injury, and then the Colorado Avalanche took their time in his rehab and wanted to make sure he was 100% healthy to return to the lineup. So expect a similar situation for Beckett Sennecke. I'm figuring he does return to the Oshawa Generals lineup because Oshawa looking to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference this season after going to the OHL final last year. And Beckett Sennecke will be a key piece for that team going forward. But right now, just a bit of a setback for him with that fractured foot. And hopefully everything will go smoothly and we'll see Sennecke on the ice. I really hope he does get some time with the Anaheim Ducks before coming back to junior, because it's such a great experience. And it's a great tool for these players to learn from the pros and just to get a sense of what it takes to be in the National Hockey League, and then take what they learn to the OHL level and try to adjust as they compete for the championship. So back at Sennecke, 6 to 8 weeks, and after that, it might be another week or two before we see him with the Oshawa Generals, but anything can happen between now and then. So we'll just keep an eye on that situation. Also to note, the Ontario Hockey League, they had the AGM meeting and they announced they'd have a new director of player safety. Well, if you want to be that director of player safety, you can apply for the job. The Ontario Hockey League posting it on their website, and they're looking for somebody to assume this role. They want someone with experience, preferably someone who's been a head coach or an official of some capacity before. But I think this is a positive step for the Ontario Hockey League, as they want to try and be more open and try and figure out a way that when it comes to suspensions, there'll be a player that can oversee this. In the past, it was former Commissioner David Branch who would oversee a lot of the disciplinary actions, but they also want to take a focus to keep players safe. So I think this is a great step that they are going to have a director of player safety, and now we'll just have to wait and see who that person will be in the coming weeks. So if you're someone that has a deep hockey background and you've been a coach or an official in the past, well, this job could be yours. So that was posted on the Ontario Hockey League website, looking for a director of player safety. So some interesting developments on that front. Also, in my last video, I talked about how jersey ads have arrived in the Ontario Hockey League, and I said the Windsor Spitfires were the first team. Well, it was brought to my attention that the Saginaw Spirit also have a jersey sponsor, but they've never made it official. It was kind of, if you notice in the photos of the player signings, that it was right there in plain sight that they also have a jersey sponsor. So I'd like, a commenter pointed that out. So I just wanted to mention that here. And also the London Knights, another team that has announced that they will have a jersey sponsor in the upcoming 24-25 season. I would assume more teams are going to make that announcement over the next couple weeks before we get to day one of the regular season. And one thing that was good to see for the London Knights when they announced theirs is that their third jersey, the Spider Knight, back for another season. And I know there's some who aren't big fans of the Spider Knight logo that was popular in the 90s. I prefer what they've done with it because back in the 90s, it was that eggplant color. Kind of reminded me a bit of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks color scheme, but the logo brought back as a third jersey, and with the announcement of the jersey sponsor, they confirmed that jersey will be making a return this season. Now, I wanted to look at some of the stats from the preseason because there's been some surprises, and I know with it's the preseason, you can only take what we're seeing with a grain of salt because obviously these are not the full rosters. Some players are fighting for positioning, so maybe they're overachieving a bit in their lineups right now, but still, it's great to recognize what's been going on in the preseason up to this point. The biggest surprise to me is the fact the Kitchener Rangers have a 5-0 record. They have the best record right now in the OHL when it comes to the preseason with 10 points. But what's fascinating about all 5 of those wins, they needed extra time. And of course, in the preseason, the games don't go to overtime. They go right to a shootout. So Kitchener, all 5 of their wins, they needed a shootout to get the job done. So the Kitchener Rangers, they, of course, traded Carson Rykoff to the Brampton Steelheads, and this is a team looking to the future. But it just goes to show that Jussi Hokus, the head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, I think his system, it works. And this could be a team that might play a bit of spoiler in the upcoming regular season. But I know it's only preseason, but it's something that keep an eye on the Kitchener Rangers. I don't know if they're going to be at the bottom of the Western Conference standings. They might still be a team that's making things difficult for teams in the Midwest Division. Other teams that stood out, the Brantford Bulldogs, their offense has come alive, 24 goals for. They have a record of 2-2-0-1, so their record could be a little bit better, but seeing that offense, what they're capable of course, Nick Lardis leads the way in the goal scoring. He's now off with the Chicago Blackhawks for their rookie camp, so we'll see when he returns. But they just picked up Ryerson Leanders from the Steelheads, so they've got a great goaltender. And if they've got the offense in front of him, the Brantford Bulldogs, they could make things very interesting in the East Division. Another team that's done great in the goal-scoring department, the Erie Otters, 26 goals for, but it's keeping the pucks out of the net. That's been a bit of an issue in the preseason, 30 goals against, so they have a -4 goal differential, and they've played 5 games already, a 1-2-0-2 record. A bit of a disappointing record in the preseason, but the offense is there. They just need to figure out the defense. And of course, that'll take time once we get into the regular season. Another surprise, the Brampton Steelheads. They're viewed as the favorite going into this upcoming regular season, but in the preseason, still looking for their first win. They have a record of 0-2-1 and 0-2-1 in the preseason so far, so no wins yet for the Brampton Steelheads. A bit of a shock there, but like I said, it's only preseason, so don't hit the panic button. It's just something worth noting right now as we're halfway through the preseason. Leading scorers right now, Kieran Walton of the Sudbury Wolves leads the way. 3 goals, 5 assists, good for 8 points. Strong showing for him in his 3 preseason games. Jake O'Brien of the Brantford Bulldogs, second in league scoring right now. He was the Rookie of the Year last season, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. So tied with Kieran Walton, but Walton has the edge on the goal front. Chase Lefebvre, wanting to be one of the overagers this season with the Peterborough Petes. 6 goals, 1 assist, 7 points. So Lefebvre appearing in 3 games. He's on pace for 2 goals a game here in the preseason. So a great case there for Chase Lefebvre to maybe be one of the overagers in the upcoming season for the Peterborough Petes. And then we have Pano Femus with the Erie Otters. 4 goals in 4 games. So a good, strong showing for him as he's wanting to be one of the key leaders on this team into the regular season. And rounding out the top 5 in scoring, Nick Lardis, 3 goals, 3 assists, good for 6 points. So that's where we stand here at the preseason. I know there's this lull right now as we have to wait for some more action to resume. That's, of course, next Tuesday. But in the meantime, I'm looking to do an interview with someone from the Ontario Hockey League. I've been doing some emails back and forth. Hopefully, I'll have an interview to post here later in the week. You'll want to stay tuned for that. And also next week, I'll be doing a couple more interviews with other media members as we kind of gear up for some maybe projections or predictions for the upcoming 2024-25 OHL regular season. So I just wanted to do a quick little update here, looking at some of the stats and some news items. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on any surprises from the preseason or your thoughts on anything else right now going on with the Ontario Hockey League. Appreciate all your support as this channel continues to grow. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't hit subscribe already, and we'll talk to you again soon.